You just mentioned there kind of a black actor, and you've spoken in the past about how you don't like the term African American.
No, I don't mind the term African American. I don't want to be called African American.
Why is that?
I'm not African.
Very strong.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel Yano Show KE. Hope you are good, hope you are fine. I just want to appreciate you, my new subscribers, for the support you are showing my channel. So guys, today I just want to talk about something very shortly here about why are these African Americans or the Americans who are there in America against Africans. You see that they are not happy to be called Africans. They are not happy to be associated with this African culture, and they are now people are saying that they are anti-Africans. They are against Pan-Africanism. So here are some of the reason of some of the things that these African Americans of the FBA they are not happy to be called Africans. So what I don't know what is the take after you watch this video, but just if you have any comment, let us meet there in the comment section. Let us see, let us view your reaction. What are you saying on this reaction of African Americans are not happy or they are anti-Pan-Africanism? So don't go anywhere, just subscribe, like, comment and share.
You just mentioned there kind of a black actor, and you've spoken in the past about how you don't like the term African American.
No, I don't mind the term African American. I don't want to be called African American.
Why is that?
I'm not African.
Very strong.
Okay, so I don't think that most foundational Black Americans, because that's all the FBA stands for, I really don't think that most of us get offended when we're called African American, because that was our title for so long. So, so it's not about like us saying something wrong with being African. You mentioned Mexican Americans and Asian Americans are perfectly fine with their title, which makes sense. They should be, because if you call yourself Mexican American, that means that you still have a direct tie, direct link to Mexico. More than likely, probably 100%, they still have family over there in Mexico that they can go to. They still have relatives there they can call. So they're still directly tied to that specific country. If you're Asian American, which most of them probably don't even label themselves as an Asian American, I haven't really heard them say that, but their lineage in this country doesn't really go back that far. So if they're from Asia, as any country, they probably still have family in whatever respective country that they came from. They still have a direct link, a direct tie to a specific country on the continent of Asia. They still probably have cultural ties and languages and everything that are directly tied, right? Whereas with us, as foundational Black Americans, our lineage in this country goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. So we have zero connections, like zero family members. There is not one person on the continent that we can call and be like, hey family, hey cousin, hey brother, hey mama, hey daddy. Nobody, right? So we do not have there's no specific country that our lineage is from. There's no specific, we're not a part of any tribes, right? Because you might can go over there and get initiated into a tribe if you wanted to, but you really are supposed to be born into that kind of stuff, right? So we're really just American. The term African American is much better suited for somebody who's only been here for like 1, 2, 3, or maybe even 4 generations, who does not have a history of the transatlantic slave trade. That's a better term for them than it is for us. It's just not a good fitted term for us no more. Because what links do we still have from over there? Zero, none, nada.
The reason Black Americans don't take Pan-Africanism seriously is because we've never seen it in the places where it actually makes sense. What we see, by and large, are Black immigrants who come here and preach Pan-Africanism, which makes absolutely no sense, because America has 30 or 40 million Black folks. Okay. We don't have any resources. We don't control any industries. Like, literally, we have no control over natural resources in this country. We do not control anything. We have nothing to offer. This country only has jobs from white people. Meanwhile, in Africa, there are hundreds of, like close to 1 billion Black people. All the natural resources in the world that Black folks could theoretically control, because you have the numbers. You can control industry. Like, why not go home and preach that? As we sit here right now, we have Ghanaians trying to kick Nigerians out of their country. Where's the Pan-Africanism? As we sit here, in 2024, there was a sister who went for a beauty pageant in South Africa. But her dad, I believe, was like Nigerian. Her mother's from Mozambique. And they lost their mind because they felt like, you're not really one of us. Again, where's the Pan-Africanism? Now, again, to be fair, these are just sort of select cherry-picked examples. But you get the point. For some reason, this concept seems to only be salient here in America, where, again, we don't have the numbers and we don't have the resources. This concept would be taken much more seriously if we saw it work back there. Right? Like, if we saw close to 1 billion black people rise up collectively to challenge white dominance. Not to get a few jobs from white people, but to actually challenge the domination. To say, we're going to control the resources collectively. Borders don't matter. We are one people. If we saw that movement, successfully, where you got the numbers, like tomorrow you could do this, this would be a concept that would make much more sense. But we don't see that. So whether it's Marcus Garvey or whomever, you see immigrants coming here and saying, let's preach Pan-Africanism. And so it's just a challenge for us because we've never seen this concept work where it makes the most sense for it to work, where it could actually work. And so from our perspective, it just sounds like you're trying to eat off my plate rather than how can we make a whole plate factory. Your best position, we're not. Yes, America has a much larger economy than all of these other countries. We don't have access to it. We're literally competing for a few jobs from white people. That's what we got. Why is that? Well, we've just never been in a really good position, right? So, yes, there was slavery in the Caribbean, but the British left, the French left. We had to live under our oppressor every single day, our very violent oppressor. And so, no, we just didn't have the opportunity to forge a new identity, right? We didn't have the opportunity to wake up and say, we're Haitians and we're one. Like, we didn't get that, right? We were literally just trying to stay alive. We didn't get that. So whether you're Haitian, whether you're Ghanaian, Nigerian, Trinity, whatever you might be, you woke up every day in a place where you were in the majority. And as a black person from America, whose folks came out of the cotton fields, I admire that. There's a privilege in that I don't think you all recognize, a privilege to wake up every day and be in the majority. And so, yes, there's neocolonialism. Yes, there's a French indemnity on Haiti. All these things are true. But you at least have the opportunity to wake up every day in the majority on the ground and try to control your life. We could only dream of that. That is fantasy for us. It never existed. And so what I'm saying is, if you're asking why you feel resistance towards Pan-Africanism, if you're asking why American black folks seem hesitant to buy into it, it's because where it makes the most sense, where it has the highest probability to succeed, and where there are actual prizes to be had, we don't see that movement. So no, it doesn't make a lot of sense to us. It doesn't compute. Also, the rules seem to change, right? So again, we talked about what's happening in Ghana, in every other corner of the world from our perspective. And again, we're not scholars in, Pan-African affairs. We're not scholars in world affairs. Americans are very American-centric, right? Our media, everything just revolves around us. That's just true. But at least from our perspective, what it seems like is nobody else is being asked to buy into these notions of Pan-Africanism. And so when these Ghanaians say, we really don't want these Nigerians there, they're free to just do that. We know, or at least we feel very deeply, that if we reverse this, right, if a meaningful number of Americans went to any country and started to have a meaningful presence in government, in business, and getting jobs, there would be no movement of Pan-Africanism. And that would be true universally, right? So if a meaningful number of Jamaicans went to Haiti and started getting a bunch of positions in government, when Haitian people are still struggling, they started getting jobs, there'd be no movement of Pan-Africanism. Those Haitians would rise up and say, no, y'all gotta go. If Americans who were best positioned to immigrate went to these countries and started getting To think about Karine Jean-Pierre, press secretary for Joe Biden. If an American expat got that position in any other country, would everybody be cool? Probably not, right? If a meaningful, get the word meaningful, if a meaningful number of middle-class Americans, because again, poor, uneducated people aren't moving across the world. They're not. They're not even moving across town. As a rule, certainly there are exceptions, but as a rule, if you're immigrating, it's because you have the resources and the means to do it. So educated Americans, Americans with resources, relocate, they go to other places, and they start getting jobs, they start getting opportunities, and the local population is still struggling. There's not going to be some movement to rally around to defend these American expats. If you tell me that, you're not being honest. You're just not. So it seems like the rules are just different for us than everyone else, when again, we don't even have anything to offer the world. We just got white jobs. So this makes no sense. It's difficult for us to buy into something we've just not seen, but it looks like the opportunity's there. Why is it not being seized? So if you want us to really buy in, and it sounds wonderful, it does, then let's see it work where it makes sense, where there's opportunity for it to work. Let's come together collectively there, back home, and challenge white dominance. So then it doesn't look like you're just eating off my plate and I'm being asked to sacrifice when you're not being asked to sacrifice. It looks like this is a legitimate movement to challenge white dominance, and I guarantee you we would want to be a part of that.
Every time I come on this app, there is a particular group of people who keep on talking about Africa. And that group is called the FBA, Foundational Black Americans. Well, what I call them is FBA, Fear of Being African. And my thing is, look, if you don't want to be African, don't. Go on and live your happy American life and leave the rest of the Africans to get on and do what they're doing. Because every time I open this app, there's someone crying and complaining about Africa. Africa this, Africa that. Boycott this, let's boycott that. If it's not Africans, they're complaining about the Caribbeans. If it's not the Caribbeans, they're complaining about the Mexicans. We're tired, bro. Then you got the ones that come and say, we don't look African. Really? 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 At this point, I just got to laugh because it's becoming comedy. We don't have the same features as y'all. We not African. Really? Really? You sure? Are you sure? If you leave the United States and travel the world, go to other countries and say you're anything but an African, or you don't descend from Africans, they look at you like you're crazy. I promise you. Go to anywhere else around the world and say you're Indian, and they'll laugh in your face. Say you're Choctaw, and they'll laugh in your face. Say you're Cherokee, and they'll laugh in your face. Yes, I'm not saying some of you don't have the 1% in you or 2% in you, but let's be fucking real.
No one came to save us. Nobody sent a ship. No military came to help us. We've been on our own. So when you talk down on some of the dysfunctions that, you know, a percentage of us may have, you don't even take in the context what we've been under for all this time, what we've been dealing with and how we've been fighting for us and for you guys on top of that. And y'all got a whole continent over there with all these minerals and gold and all that. So it's like, come on, we can't do the one-sided thing. Like, that's crazy. I mean, you got these hate spaces on Twitter space where people just come together, African folks and the Caribbeans all come together with this love fest for each other, but this hate fest on us with these weird talking points, and it just went under the radar for a long time without us really noticing. But it's like, damn, like now it goes the other way, but for a long time this was unprovoked because we always show love to you guys, you know, like how you gonna just make whole spaces talking about our dysfunctions and parts of our society unprovoked for just years and years and years, and talking about us behind doors for years and years. And it's like now I understand why I'll see a lot of immigrants, women with white dudes, or see a lot of immigrant dudes just go out of their way to date white women and like talk crazy about black women. And I always wondered that, damn, what's up with all these weird dudes that's so anti-black women or so anti-black, you know, these females are so anti-black man. And that just brought it around full circle. Like a lot of the time, now sometimes it's coons, but we call out our coons, you know what I'm saying? But like the Candace Owens, y'all don't call out y'alls. That's a problem. So I don't know. Like, I mean, you got the Rastas, you know, they pro-black, but I can't really think of any other group of people. Oh, you know, shout out to the Black British that hold it down. Even though sometimes there's a little weird energy coming from over there, trying to scapegoat our men over here. You know, I heard talking points like that from some Nigerian ladies too, saying like we're abusive of our women. And, you know, there's a little weird energy bubbling up. So, come on, like every group of people is going to have a small segment of their people who have issues, but like at the end of the day, we've done phenomenal things under a very oppressive system. And we showed you guys love, and we show love to black folks all around the world. So let's just keep a positive energy. And those of you who are allies with us, man, I've seen y'all in different comment sections showing love, you know, putting y'all flag, putting a fist up, shouting out the FBAs. And you're very genuine, and I appreciate that, man. It's much love to y'all, man. It goes both ways. And to the FBA family, I would say, you know, just know that we do have some non-FBA black folks out there that rock with us, that are like-minded, that have our back, you know, good people, good solid individuals. You know, I know that. I've met some in person. I know some in person. But yeah, I mean, y'all got to start checking your own is what it comes down to, or we're going to feel like y'all ain't rocking with us. You know, I've been going back and forth with a few people. There was this dude earlier who was like, you know, because of my last video where I was saying how some FBAs hate on non-FBA black immigrants unprovoked. And he was like, man, they hate us, bro. He's like, they hate us on the continent. So you got a lot of us thinking that y'all hate us over on the continent when I know that's not true. And then a lot of us now responding to these basically years of neglect probably have people on the continent thinking that we hate them. Which is not true. We just don't like people who come here and try to sabotage us politically and hate on us. So we got to just really understand the nuance, educate ourselves, and not just be quick to be emotional and jump the gun, because the separation of black folks is what's been undermining all of our success for a long time now. And it's just much better for us to work together, because these white supremacists don't like either one of us, no matter how much they act like they like you or try to say y'all are so successful when you come here, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, their fear is genetic annihilation. And you're black just like we're black. So if they was able to get us out the way, you are next. Trust me. We know these people very well. They can act friendly. They're not your friends. They got you chasing your tail, doing these little one-day boycotts that are correlated with the black boule, and we know their games. Just trust me. Like, knock it off with the nonsense. We got love for y'all. A lot of us still got love for y'all, but we got an eye on y'all when y'all get in political office, because there's a consistent sabotage coming from that direction.
I don't like Africans. I'm African myself, and I'm Nigerian. Imo State. I wouldn't advise you to eat African food. If you look at any other African, they don't look great.
I am extremely disappointed in the black people I'm seeing on social media right now talking about African food is nasty. How are you talking about stuff your ancestors ate? What the f wrong with y'all? Y'all don't know nothing about food. I'm a personal chef. I've been to school twice. I've studied African American. You know what, bro? You need to eat African food. It don't gotta be foo-foo. It don't gotta be food. At least expand your palate so you can eat food that you're supposed to instead of milk and cheese. What do y'all mean? Y'all don't eat chickpeas? Y'all don't eat lentils? Maybe you should. Maybe you should before you sit up there and talk shit about a culture where you come from. And so we all know, when I say Africa, I mean as the whole, the continent, because there's so many different flavors. You're doing yourself a huge injustice by talking shit about things your ancestors and your DNA still remembers what you're supposed to eat, or else you wouldn't be lactose intolerant. What the is wrong with y'all? Being anti-Africa, being anti-you.
Y'all, I'm really trying to remain neutral with this African FBA war that's going on. You know, I'm FBA. I stand with the FBA no matter what. But what I'm seeing out here is we're just out here expressing the disrespect. We're just out here expressing how people from Africa, they come over here and they just totally disrespect us. That's what we're expressing. But the videos that's coming from the African is about hate. They are coming out no different to us like the white supremacists. I literally just watched the video and I was picking up on the nonverbal message. They were showing babies from different parts of the continent of Africa, and then they showed an FBA baby that looked like what we used to refer to as a tar baby. Now, a tar baby not necessarily meaning because it was black, but a tar baby a tar baby meaning like it was kind of cartoonish, how do you say, exaggerated features type thing. And this was done by an African. And there are just other videos that are very harsh, just because the black Americans, which we don't call ourselves African Americans, and that's another disrespect that we've been telling them, we're not African American. We are FBA, or Foundational Black Americans. We're not African American. I haven't called myself African American in more than 30 years. I don't like the term African American. The term African American says to me I'm a second-class citizen. White people don't go around calling themselves white Americans, they just call themselves Americans. But the Africans on here, y'all are really, taking it on a very personal level to the point of attacking. You're literally attacking. And the black people on here, we're just basically telling you how we feel. That we feel disrespected. That we need to be shown more respect, which is not a lot to ask for. You come to our country and you don't show us any respect whatsoever. And I've tried to stay out of this. But when I see the level of disrespect, you're making it very difficult. Our videos just simply say, I don't like the disrespect. I'm not African. I'm an American. This is my land. And for some reason, it's so offensive to you, you attack us like these white supremacists do. White supremacists don't like to see our black joy either. You don't like to see our black joy either. There is no doubt that I have African descent, but I'm not African. I have African descent. Nobody's out here attacking you guys the way that you are attacking us. You are literally doubling down on the disrespect. The video that I did earlier that's saying that I'm not taking part in the boycotting of African braid shops, I literally took that video down because I stand with the FBAs. If you're feeling disrespected, by all means, do what you have to do. Because now I can see the disrespect. Because instead of the Africans coming back and having a valid argument about why they're not being disrespectful, they're coming back with ad hominem attacks. And that is very disrespectful. When we're just telling you that we don't appreciate the disrespect.
There's been so much rhetoric about divisiveness between Africans and African Americans, or let's just say African Americans and Black Americans, because that is what they want to be called now. They refuse to be identified as African descendants. And let me not say all of Black Americans, but majority of them are now showing their ass about how they feel about being called African American, or even having a proximity to be of African descent. And let me just remind you that I, as an African American whose family is descended from West Africa, Ivory Coast, when I go into a doctor's office, a job application, or anything that requires for me to identify my race, it says African American, Black American, but it does not differentiate which is which. We are in one category. So for you to sit here and say that the black dollar is the only dollar that consistently sustains the economic orbit, you're not wrong, but it's not just descendants of slaves here in America. It's literally all peoples of color, immigrants included. That means Jamaicans, Haitians, Africans, Afro-Latinas. It's not just descendants of Black people who had family here that was once slaves. Even the conversation of that and not wanting to be from Africa so bad, honestly, to me, it just goes to prove what we've been saying about how a lot of Black Americans don't like African people. As somebody who grew up being bullied by Black kids, not even white kids, I literally didn't understand racism until Trayvon Martin's death and the unfolding of the history that I, on my own, came to learn about the history of whites and Blacks in America. But before then, it was Black kids who bullied me in school, called me African booty scratcher, asked me if I lived in trees, asked me if I ate leaves, talked about my language and how I interacted with my parents. And it's always thrown into our face that if it wasn't for Black people, America would not have the opportunities that they have today. And I don't disagree with that. I very much agree to that. But then it's also very backwards for you to not take into account the role that Africa plays. Africa is not just one country. It's not two, it's not three, it's not even 20. It is 54 whole countries that contribute to the economic world globally. So for you to not take into account how big of a part that we play and try to demean us simply because there has been division literally put in place in society that white people have put in place to keep us divided so we don't understand that we are of one of the same cloth, to me is honestly very disheartening, especially in these times when they're working overtime to make sure that we are not united to fight against the number one problem. It's been multiple creators I've seen on here who are talking about boycotting
African businesses, boycotting African shops, talking about how nasty African food is, and talking about how we cosplay to be African American. And the reality is, it's just, oh my gosh, like, it's so much to just decode. I don't even know where to start. I'm not saying I hate Black Americans. I love Black Americans. I love Black American culture. Growing up, loves hip hop, loves soul food. It's nothing against them, but it's also Black Americans forgetting the amount of trauma they place onto Africans, which gives them the experience, I guess you could say, or the view of certain African Americans. Just like we can agree that not all Black Americans are prejudiced against Africans, you can't say that all Africans are prejudiced against Black Americans. That's it, that's all. And if you're gonna boycott all of Africa instead of the people who did harm to you, just know you're boycotting 54 countries who contribute to everything you have, including this iPhone that you're recording on and talking ish on. So there's that.